Level 1. Naval Academy Midshipman. You're 18. Induction Day. You hand your phone to a stranger and walk through a door, and on the other side of the door you belong to the United States Navy. That's not a metaphor. It's administrative fact. You sign the papers. The phone goes into a bag with your name on it. You won't see it for weeks. Annapolis, the yard. 4,500 midshipmen, an institution built in 1845 on a bend in the Severn River, and a system designed to produce officers by building people who can function when the system fails. You'll understand that design later. Right now, you're trying to remember which fork is for what, and whether you're supposed to square your corners in the corridor or just in the barracks. Plebe summer is 6 weeks. No upperclassmen. Just officers and the class above you running you through the physical and professional foundations at a pace that isn't cruel. It's just unrelenting. You learn to be unrelenting back. Your squad leader is a youngster, 3rd year, named Park. She doesn't yell. She gives the standard, watches whether you meet it, and moves on. When you don't meet it, she tells you exactly what was wrong and gives you the opportunity to fix it. She treats this as the entire job of leadership. You file this away. You choose your major, systems engineering. You choose it because submarines run on systems, interlocked, interdependent, non-redundant in the places that matter most. You want to understand the architecture before you step inside it. 4 years. You graduate in the top quarter of your class. You select submarines. The submarine officers who come to talk to your class say the same thing in different ways. Most jobs you do the work. In submarines, you are the work. The boat doesn't function without people who know every system completely and can fix any one of them in the dark. You understand this abstractly. You will understand it in your body in about 8 months. Level 2. Nuclear Power School and Submarine School. You're 22. Nuclear Power School. Goose Creek, South Carolina. 6 months. The curriculum is reactor theory, thermodynamics, reactor plant systems, radiological controls, and the mathematics that underlies all of it. The pace is calibrated to produce failure in people who study normally. You have to restructure how you study, how you process, how you retain. The material is not conceptually inaccessible. There is simply more of it per week than a person typically handles. You graduate in the top third. Prototype training is 6 months on an actual reactor plant, not on a submarine, but on a land-based prototype that runs like a submarine reactor. You stand watch, you troubleshoot, you learn what it sounds like and feels like and smells like when a system is running correctly, which is how you learn to recognize when it isn't. Submarine school is 4 months. Groton, Connecticut. Damage control, escape and rescue, submarine systems, tactical operations, the doctrine of submarine warfare. You practice flooding scenarios in a training tank. Water coming in, the team working to stop it, the sound of it. That sound will never be ambient noise after this. A trainer named Chief Oduya, 22 years in submarines, built like someone who has spent decades in tight spaces and made peace with it, runs your damage control practical. He floods a section of the trainer without warning during a qualification exercise. You have 11 seconds before the flood becomes unmanageable. You manage it in 9. He says, 4 seconds of margin. That's your life on a submarine. Understand what 4 seconds means. You understand. You will spend the next 26 years understanding it more precisely. Level 3. Division Officer. 1st Submarine. You're 24. USS Hartford, SSN 768. Los Angeles class fast attack. Home port, Groton. The boat is 362 feet long, 33 feet in diameter, and carries a crew of 135. It is also your new home, your new school, your new definition of what professional means, and the place where everything you learned in 2 years of formal training will be tested against actual operating depth. You are the Torpedo Division Officer. 14 men. You are responsible for the tactical systems, torpedoes, tomahawks, the tubes that launch them, the systems that target them. You know the systems from school. You know them technically, which is different from knowing them. Your leading petty officer is a chief named Vasquez. He's been on submarines for 16 years. He knows the system the way you know your own face, without thinking about it, by reflex in the dark. On your first week, he walks you through the torpedo room and explains something that is not in any manual. The boat has a personality. He means this technically. Every system has a tolerance range. Every tolerance range has a center that isn't the published value. He knows where the centers are. He knows what normal sounds like versus what abnormal sounds like at 0300 when the boat is at depth and everything is muted. Your job for the next 12 months, he says, is to know what I know. You spend 12 months learning what he knows. Your first deployment, North Atlantic, 63 days submerged. The world above the surface exists in your mind as an abstraction. Weather, daylight, the ability to make a phone call. These become theoretical concepts that other people have access to. You have the boat. The boat has 135 people and 362 feet and the absolute requirement that every system function. You complete your dolphins, the qualification pin. That means you've demonstrated knowledge of every system on the boat, can operate every system, and can survive the failure of any system. The ceremony is simple. The commanding officer pins them. They press in. You don't move. Level 4. Department head. You're 28. USS Virginia, SSN 774, Virginia class. New construction, quietest fast attack in the fleet. You're the weapons officer. 41 people. You brief the commanding officer on weapons system status before every major evolution. You own the tactical picture, what the boat can do, what it's currently capable of, what it will need to be capable of in 72 hours. The Virginia is a generation beyond the Hartford. The systems are newer. The integration is tighter. The information architecture is fundamentally different. You spend 4 months learning the Delta and another 2 months teaching it to your department. A deployment to the Western Pacific. 81 days. You operate in a threat environment that is not theoretical. There are other boats in the water, other nations, and the tactical picture requires continuous attention. An equipment casualty at depth, a hydraulic system failure in a critical component. The casualty affects the boat's ability to perform a specific function that you won't specify. You have 3 hours to restore operability before the mission is compromised. Your department works continuously for 2 hours and 47 minutes. The system is restored. The commanding officer, a woman named Hartwell, 12 years in submarines, moves through a crisis the way water moves through a pipe. Makes an entry in the ship's log. Casualty to hydraulic system. Cause determined. System restored to full operability. No mission impact. 11 words. You read it. You think about the 2 hours and 47 minutes that fit inside those 11 words. The decisions, the iterations, the moment in hour 2 when the repair approach you were using stopped working and you went to the backup approach. 11 words. You file this for later. This is how the record works. The record is not the experience. Level 5. Executive Officer. You're 33. Before we go any further, drop a comment below. What career do you want to see next? Hit like, subscribe. We post every single day. Second in command. USS North Dakota. SSN 784. The XO runs the boat. Not the mission. The CO runs the mission. The XO runs the boat, the people, the training, the qualification program, the watch bill, the discipline, the 1,000 administrative requirements that turn a collection of 135 people into a functioning warship. You are also the person who tells the CO when the CO is wrong. That's the part of the job description that doesn't appear in the job description. The commanding officer of a submarine has near absolute authority in a near absolute environment. The check on that authority is the XO, who has to be close enough to the CO to understand their thinking and independent enough to push back when the thinking is wrong. Your CO is a man named Reyes. Methodical, low ego, the best tactical submariner you've served with. You disagree with him 3 times in 14 months. Twice you're wrong. Once you're right and he knows it and he adjusts. He never makes you feel wrong for saying it. That matters. A deployment. During a specific evolution, you won't specify, a decision needs to be made in under 4 minutes with incomplete information. Reyes makes the call. You support the call. The outcome is correct. In the debrief, he says, "What would you have done differently?" You say, "Nothing. I would have asked for 30 more seconds of information before deciding." He says, "What does 30 seconds cost at that point in the evolution?" You work through it. 30 seconds costs positioning. Positioning cost could be recovered. The additional information was not guaranteed to materialize in 30 seconds. His call was right. He says, "The question was never what you do differently. The question was whether you can explain why I did what I did." You can. You file it. Level 6. Commanding Officer, you're 38. Your name is on the boat. Not literally. The boat has a name, but the boat is yours. USS Montana, SSN 794. 135 people, their lives, their professional development, their families waiting at home for a boat that runs 90 days submerged on a deployment cycle. The weight of command is not metaphor. You feel it physically, a constant background awareness that every decision has consequence and every consequence lives in people. You carry this. You learn to carry it without it impairing the decisions. A crew member, a second-class petty officer named Torres, nuclear-trained, excellent watchstander, makes an error during a reactor plant evolution. Not catastrophic. The plant protocols absorbed the error. The supervisory systems caught it. The plant was never in danger. But the error pattern suggests something in the watchstanding culture that shouldn't be there. You convene a stand-down. One day, the entire nuclear department in the mess, working through the error together. Not punishment, analysis. You run it the way Chief Oduya ran your casualty training. Here's what happened. Here's where it entered the sequence. Here's what we're changing. Torres presents his own error analysis. Clearly, without defensiveness, with specificity about where his attention failed. After, you pull him aside. You say, "That was the right way to do that." He says, "I almost didn't." You say, "I know. That's why it mattered that you did." You deploy. 91 days. Clean deployment. Every system, every evolution, every watchstand. You come home. The families are on the pier. You watch your crew walk down the brow and into their lives. You're the last one off the boat. Level 7, Squadron Commander. You're 43. You command a submarine squadron, 6 boats, 6 commanding officers, approximately 800 personnel. You don't drive a submarine anymore. You govern the people who do. The adjustment took a year. Submarines are physical and immediate. You're in the water, the systems are running, the decisions have direct consequence. Squadron Command is institutional. You're shaping the environment in which 6 commanding officers make decisions. You are 3 levels from the water. You visit the boats, frequently, not to inspect, to be present, to understand the personality of each boat, the character of each crew, the culture that's developed under each CO. You sit in the control room. You attend drills. You ask questions that aren't inspections. A CO, Lieutenant Commander Park, your best commanding officer, 18 months into command, makes a decision during a training exercise that you would not have made. It works. The exercise goes well. The decision was tactically sound. You call her after the debrief. You don't tell her the decision was wrong. It wasn't. You ask her to walk you through the decision tree. She does. At one branch point, she made an assumption that happened to be correct. You ask, what was the probability that assumption was correct? She thinks. She says, maybe 60%. You say, what's your process when you're at 60%? She thinks longer. She says, I should have flagged it as an assumption instead of a known. You say, yes, the decision can still be the same. The flag is for your crew, so they know where the uncertainty is, so they can tell you if they see something that changes the percentage. She's quiet for a moment. Then, I'll work on that. She does. Level 8. Submarine Force Atlantic. Deputy Commander. You're 48. Norfolk. Your office has a window. You've had offices without windows for most of your career. Control rooms, watch stations, the CO's stateroom on a submarine. No windows, no horizon, no natural light. The window now looks out over the waterfront. You can see submarines from your desk. You watch them sometimes when you're thinking. You oversee operations, maintenance, training, and readiness for the Atlantic Submarine Force. 14 boats, 1,900 personnel. You brief the 4-star. You sit in rooms where the decisions about what submarines do are made at the level above operations. A readiness shortfall. A class of submarine, 3 boats, has a recurring maintenance issue that is affecting operational availability. Not a safety issue, an availability issue. 3 boats that should be deployable are in and out of maintenance cycles that are running long. You trace it. The issue is, in the depot-level maintenance process, a specific procedure that was modified 18 months ago for efficiency and is creating downstream effects that weren't modeled. You put a team on it. They identify the fix. The fix requires a procedure revision that has to go through a formal approval process. The formal approval process takes 4 months. During those 4 months, the boats remain availability impaired. You learn something you didn't know you needed to learn. The institutional process is itself a system with the same characteristics as a submarine system. It has tolerances and failure modes, and the failure modes are not always visible from inside the system. Your job at this level is to see the institutional system the way Vasquez taught you to see the boat, not from the manual, from the actual behavior. You change how you work. You start mapping process the way you used to map systems. Level 9. Commander, Submarine Forces. You're 52. 4 stars worth of submarines. 71 boats. The entire operational submarine force of the United States Navy. The Pacific, the Atlantic, forward deployed. The boats that carry ballistic missiles, the SSBNs, the Ohio class, the ones whose existence is the ultimate deterrent, the ones that have never fired in combat and whose purpose is to ensure they never have to. You brief the president once. A submarine-related matter you won't specify. The room is small. The question the president asks is the right question. You answer it directly. After, the National Security Advisor says, "That was a good answer." You say, "It was the accurate answer." He looks at you for a moment, then he nods. You think about Chief Oduya, 4 seconds of margin. You've thought about that phrase for 30 years, the specific meaning of margin, the specific cost of knowing exactly how much you have. At this level, the margin is strategic, not tactical. The margin is measured in the thing that never has to happen. The submarines you command ensure something doesn't happen. That's the whole mission. Success is the absence of the event. You think about Vasquez, who knew where the centers were. You think about Reyes, who taught you why you need to explain the CO's decision, not just your own alternative. You think about Hartwell, whose log entry was 11 words. 11 words for 2 hours and 47 minutes. The record is not the experience. You've made peace with that. Level 10, retired. You're 56. The retirement ceremony was in Annapolis. They flew a flag over the academy. They gave you the flag, folded in a triangle. Someone played something on a bugle. You stood at attention for the last time in uniform, and then you were not in uniform. You drove to the waterfront afterward, alone. You sat on a bench and looked at the Severn River and thought about the first time you crossed this water as an 18-year-old who had just handed someone his phone. That was 38 years ago. You've spent more of your life underwater than the median American spends outdoors. You've been in water that is black and cold and under pressure that would kill you in seconds without the boat around you. The boat was always around you. It's a Saturday now. You live in a house on the Maine coast. You chose it for the water, not to be in it, just to be near it. After 38 years, you need to be able to see it. You consult. Defense contractors, academic institutions, the occasional government request for someone with your specific knowledge. It's useful work. It doesn't feel like the work. You think about Torres, who presented his own error without defensiveness. You think about Park, who learned to flag her assumptions. You think about the crew of the Montana, walking down the brow on the pier while you stood at the top and watched them go. You think about the SSBNs, the ballistic missile submarines, the ones you never commanded but always commanded in a chain of command sense. The boats that are somewhere in the ocean right now on patrol, carrying something that will never be used, ensuring by their existence that the thing never happens. They succeed every day by being unnecessary. That's a specific kind of patience that most people don't understand, and you've spent your career trying to maintain. Vasquez retired the year before you. He lives in San Diego. You talk twice a year. He asks about boats you're no longer responsible for, and you tell him what you know, which is less than it used to be. He tells you about his grandchildren with the same precision he used to describe hydraulic system performance. You could listen to either one all day. The ocean is doing what it does this morning, gray, moving, indifferent to what you were or what you know. It doesn't need you. It never did. You needed it. 4 seconds of margin. You've had more than that. Most days, that's enough. That was always enough.